All right, we've been working with Sasha, and we had some beautiful images of her. Poor Joe's been kind of waiting patiently in the wings here, so let's see if we can get some nice groom images as well. And again, I'm not trying to say that we really we overdo these things in the wedding album, but you know what? We've got beautiful images of the bride. Why not get some good images of the groom as well? So I'm just going to do a couple things here. Think of it as an exercise maybe in composition, whatever, but mostly think of it as an exercise in a direction of light on the scene. As I look here at Sacred Heart Church, we've got the beautiful front arches in the background and so forth. I'm going to try to frame the arch around Joe's shoulder here, which means I'm going to take a low vantage point to really pick up the grandeur of this beautiful location. Okay, Joe, perfect. And once again, turning the flash, I'm going to kind of orient it towards Aaron's panel right here. Aaron, point the panel a little bit more at me. Right there, good. Let's just run a test fire right here. And when I do this, I'm getting a little bit too much exposure on Joe's shirt. You know what? I'm not going to try to figure out why it's doing. I'm going to do exactly what I do on a Saturday evening. I'm just going to take my flash. I'm going to turn down the power here till it basically gives me the decent exposure on Joe's shirt. Okay, here we go again. And when I take a peek at it, I think I get a pretty nice image here. Now, here's what's going on. You say, hold on one second, David. What were you just doing there? What are you shooting here? Well, my aperture right now is about a 40th of a second at 5.6. When I did my first exposure, I noticed that I was getting gamma blowout. I was getting the highlights to blow out on me. You say, well, how did you know that? Because my camera gives me full screen blinkies, which is how I really set my exposure. When I saw his white shirt blinking back at me, I knew that that I was actually getting too much exposure going on here. So anyway, what I did was I just hit my flash, just turned it way, way down. I shouldn't say way, way down. I turned it down an appropriate amount to I thought would be just about right. I took my secondary photograph, and it looked great to me. Okay, so now that my exposure is looking good here, let's go ahead and explore this pose with Joe just a little bit. Let me say something else here, too. Now, I know about a third of the viewers might get all up in arms about this, but I'm going to tell you right here and now that I'm a JPEG shooter. I know, but I'm a JPEG shooter. We're taking 3,000 to 4,000 images at a wedding, and I generally come back with about maybe 6 gigs of data. I really don't need that to be 180 gigs on my hard drive. It's how it is at David's Eyes of Photography, but you know what? It just lets me shoot quick. We'll go into a little bit about exposure in just another lesson a little ways down the road here. But what I'm about is trying to get a directional light on my subject and also decent exposure on my subject. I think we're doing that right here. Let's get some more photographs of Joe. Let me see what we got going on here. And again, good. Looks good. All right, I'm just going to kind of vary just that same crop. I'm going to slow down the shutter just a little bit more. See what that does for me? Yep, that looks good. It's lightening up the front of the church just a fraction here. Maybe coming a little closer, kind of a head and shoulders. Joe, a little happier for me. There you go, more teeth. Great. I'm trying to position those stained glass windows behind him just a bit. Let's see what we got going on here. That's looking good. I'm going to speed up that shutter speed a little bit more because I want a little more contrast on the scene. I like that much better, I'm thinking, from the way I've got him framed and kind of the whole arch of the church right here. Okay, great. Okay, now the next thing I want to do is I've been using that low vantage point to pick up the beautiful architecture of the church. What happens if I take a higher vantage point right here? I've got my little chair right here, and I'm just going to go a bit higher. Try not to kill myself. I'm going to zoom out pretty far here. I need to back up just a little bit more. This is getting a little trickier because wide-angle lens, want to get up the whole church, want to be sure my off-camera flash or my on-camera flash is hitting Aaron's panel right over here to still give me that direction of light. Let's see what happens. Turn your head just a fraction for me. Straighten up your head a fraction. Chin down. Turn a fraction. Your nose. Good. Perfect. Let's just run a quick test. I'm going to go tight just to see what the lighting pattern looks like. Lighting pattern's looking good. Slow down the shutter speed just a bit so I can pick up the ambient light. There we go. Great, Joe. Good. I would always like to pick up the top of the arch whenever I'm doing something like this. I think the arch completes the photograph. The architect put it there for a reason. I don't think we should ever cut off arches when we're in this kind of a situation. So just a couple more quick. Just check the expression. Looks good. Our lighting looks great. When we look at it, we got a nice direction of light right here. We got the beautiful expanse of the church. We got the repeat of the pews right here, which really gives us a nice feeling of sense of depth in this particular location too. So I think it really works pretty well. So anyway, these are a couple of the photographs that we've got with Joe. Let's head back over to that one wall where we were bouncing off the wall before. Let's get a couple more of Joe in that situation, and then maybe we'll bring Tasha back in too and get a couple of them of both of them together. All right. I've got all these arches repeating behind Joe right here, and I thought, you know what, while we're up here, we got this great location. Let's see if we can get another nice photograph of him just by himself here. Aaron's right here. Aaron, let's raise our light up just a little bit higher, right there. Okay. I'm just going to kind of frame him in one of the arches here. Good. Let's see how that's looking. Looks pretty darn good. Joe, how about one more? Happy? Happy? Good, good, good. And again. How about the other hand in the pocket this time? Just kind of have it. There you go. Turn your head just. There you go. Perfect. Going to tighten it up a little. And again. And I think we got a great looking photograph of our groom here too. So again, my gosh, we can go in all day long and find great locations. I'll tell you, I love working with what I call direct. I love working with all these compositional elements in any of these locations. And when I'm in a location like this for the first time, Sacred Heart down in downtown Tampa, man, it's all new to me. I get a kick out of playing here too. So I hope you guys get a kick out of playing. Your guys and girls get a kick out of playing whatever churches you get to work at too. But anyway, coming back to just this, it's an off-camera light. If you notice what my gig is, it's getting a direction of light on the subject here, and I think we've demonstrated that pretty thoroughly here so far in these videos. All right, we moved to the other side of the church. I thought I was going to go ahead and bounce off of the wall right here, like we did with Tasha before, but once I got over here and I start looking at the background right here, I thought, man, I got another idea. You know, here we are working with just our on-camera flash, but look at the light coming down hitting his hair. Well, that's because of our light up above. So we actually have a hair light on our scene right now too. Just like in a portrait studio, we might have a hair light, we got a background light and so forth. So now we're only up to one flash on camera. I'm going to bounce it off of Aaron's panel over here, but now I'm using the church as an accent light too, and I think we'll come up with a nice portrait of our groom. Let's go ahead and give it a try. And as I'm setting this up, one thing I need to be careful of, I got some very bright lights behind his head, so I've got to get pretty darn low here to block some of the things out. And it gets a little tricky here, but I think I got it. I'm going to frame him in the arch behind right there. And let's just take the shot. We got a nice direction of light coming off the panel. There you go, Joe. Yeah, good. Smile, great. I'm just going to try a couple other kind of fading, or just zooming back, coming in some more. Just try a couple different compositions with him right there. My favorite composition is just him framed up in those arches behind. My voice is going funny because my Adam's apple is being pressed to the back of my neck as I lean here on the pew, but it's still a great shot. Here we go. And it looks pretty darn nice to me. So sometimes we're all over the place when we're doing our wedding photography, but I think we've got some really, really nice images of Joe right here in this particular session right here, this particular setting. Let's go ahead. We talked about bouncing off the wall. Let's see what I can do with bouncing off the wall this time around. I've already gone ahead, and just like we demonstrated in an earlier lesson on the video series, I've already set my color, I've set my custom white balance, and I already warmed it up just a bit for this part. I didn't want to have to do that again here. So let's go ahead and we'll get another couple photographs of Joe right here in this setting. So bouncing off the wall again. Joe, a little happier for me? There you go. Good, good, good. I missed the flash there because of the recycle time being kind of slow. No smile this time. There you go. Turn your head just slightly that way some more. All right, good, good, good. Let's see how we're looking. Quite dramatic. You know what? My lighting is going a little bit more split lighting, which means I'm not getting a light on this side of his face as much. I think the groom can take a split lighting pattern. We'll talk about lighting patterns in the future lessons here. But I like what I'm getting in the viewfinder. You know, if it looks good in the viewfinder, keep taking the photographs. I'm going to kind of back up just a fraction more. I want to get a little bit more stuff going on behind his head here. It's kind of a head and shoulders, but I'm really playing around with just all the architectural elements behind us at this time too. Okay, Joe, again, a little bit happier here. There you go. Why don't you go ahead and fold arms for me? Let's just change up the pose a little bit more. And whenever I have people fold arms, I want to see people generally fold arms with one hand down and fingers up. Joe, I'm going to have you just put the thumb down so I have fingers on both sides coming up here. Okay? I'm going to walk up to Joe, do a last minute adjust. This is good. Let's just tuck that in there just a little bit more. Perfect. Okay? I'm going to give the suit a pull here just to kind of loosen this up right here. Okay? Now relax your arms back in. And again, this works with some people. It doesn't work with everybody. I think Joe's I think he can fold his arms. I think he looks comfortable doing it. So let's go ahead, turning your head that way just a fraction. Turn your head a little bit more for me. Chin down a little bit more. Just playing around with background changes. Happy, happy, good. And again, great, great, great. Tilt your head just a little more this way. Okay, good. Happy again. Great. What happens if I'm down here? Chin down more. No smile this time. Good. Again, good. So I think we've got some really cool groom images right here. You know, I like the non-smiling look too for some of the images of the guys. It just shows a strength. It just shows a nice, strong image of him there. So I think we've got some decent groom images here. We could change up the pose. We could be doing this all afternoon. But what I'm trying to do is not so much give you a posing guide here as so much as give you a lot of the tools and techniques that you can pose your subjects in your brides and grooms in your own poses, but at least you get a nice direction of light on the scene. I think in our next section, I'm going to ask our bride to come in, see if we can get a couple photographs of both of them here. And then we maybe even find some other places in the church to get some other really kind of cool images too.